Did you know that a solar panel's efficiency can drop by 20% if the panel gets too hot? It's the fact that working temperature plays a critical role in influencing a solar panel's electrical output and efficiency. This is one factor in many that affect your overall solar system performance, but it's worth thinking about. In this episode, I offer a simple, lightweight, DIY air cooling idea to help keep the surface temperature of the panel at ambient temperature. So let's get going. There are many factors influencing a solar system's efficiency. Fundamental ones are the raw efficiency of the photovoltaic cells that the panel is made of, the incident angle of the sun's rays onto the panel, and the efficiency of your charge controller. However, another one is the surface temperature of the panel, because research has shown that you can lose up to 20% efficiency if the surface temperature gets too hot. In fact, panels can perform badly in heat waves due to this fact. I knew I wanted solar and only had space to fit one panel onto the top of my Transit custom van, because I also wanted skylights. I liked the idea of a light, flexible panel and brought a relatively cheap panel as a bit of an impulse buy at the start of the build. But then I questioned if I really wanted to slap glue all over my lovely van roof to stick a flexible panel onto. And also I stumbled on this fact about efficiency depending on panel surface temperature. So I decided to make a DIY air-cooled panel in a rigid frame and mounted on brackets. So let's look at how I made it. My approach was to start with some 9mm OSB board cut to the size of the panel. I cut lots of holes into this board to allow airflow. I then put strips of wood around the board that the flexible solar panel would lay on, so that there would be an air gap behind the back of the panel. It also seemed a good idea to support the panel across its area, so I screwed a matrix of wood screws into the board, with all the heads of the screws exactly level with the perimeter strips of wood. It was actually pretty easy to do, using a long piece of wood straddling both sides as a height guide. I then made an aluminium frame, cutting appropriate miter joints for the corners and drilling holes into the frame so that it would attach to the perimeter wood strips. At this point, I stopped and slapped a liberal amount of wood preserver all over the board and wood and left it to dry overnight. Then I sprayed the underside of the board to my van's silvery colour, followed by a spray of lacquer. Before attaching the frame, I laid the panel in position and used Sikaflex on the edges. I wanted to stop water leaking onto the wood if at all possible, even though I treated it. The Sikaflex provided a nice seal. I then added brackets to mount this panel onto the van roof, using some sticky foam pads just to make a more forgiving join onto the roof. The idea is to mount the panel with a bit of an air gap underneath, so air will flow into the holes in the board and cool the back of the panel. The rest of the job was just attaching the solar panel cables to the roof and plugging them into a standard connector, then feeding the cables into conduit down to my Victron MPPT charge controller under the passenger seat. I like the end result here and feel good that I've undoubtedly helped to increase my solar efficiency in this simple way. It's pretty lightweight, and I think that there is a good chance It's lighter than rigid panels that you can buy. I've also noticed that rigid panels have backing material behind the panel that perhaps doesn't help with heat dissipation. Solar is a hot topic, excuse the pun, and I'm not trying to say that my solution is better than any of the other fantastic solutions out there, but it's just something to consider. If you found this video useful, then consider subscribing to see more. I've got more to say about other ideas. I hope to see you again soon. Bye for now.